is Jason Wittman. And he is a life and mentor coach. He got a degree from Cornell back in 1975 and has been a lead counselor or an executive director in youth programs in Tucson, in Phoenix, and for the last 15 years here in LA at the LA Youth Supportive Services in Hollywood. He's raised 13, count them, 13 foster kids and has his own adopted son. I can't even take care of a cat. So he has written a book called The Street Shrink Chronicles, and he is here tonight to read from that book. Jason.
Stacy pulled me aside. She was frantic and said that she didn't want to be seen with me because she didn't want the information she was about to give me traced back to her. I assured her that I never tell how I get my info, and I could understand her concern. All she said was that Jamie had a gun, and that she was sure I would know what that meant. She split. I sure did know what that meant. Jamie Squires was a real quiet kid on the surface. Knowing him as well as I did, I knew that was a very controlled facade for a fuming time bomb. Jamie's whole life was a series of facades. He had socially correct, very well-off parents who thought that successful parenting was achieved by being able to buy their children anything they needed. Unfortunately for Jamie, that included love. Did they love him? Of course we do, they said. Otherwise, why would we spend so much money on him? He was brought up by the best nannies that money could buy, while they were busy working and being socially correct. Jamie tried to do almost everything possible to get their attention and approval. Until about 10th grade, he was a model student with straight A's. When that didn't work, he turned to negative stuff. He wrecked every car they bought him, and they kept buying him more. He even intentionally got himself arrested for petty crimes, but his parents made sure that their high-powered lawyers would get the charges quashed. And after a short lecture on how he was ruining the good family name, after all we've done for you, they bribed him with another high-priced toy, which of course he destroyed in short order. I've been watching this love-starved kid get more and more desperate and hostile towards his parents. His most recent escapades into negativity had been towards his parents' possessions. He threw a boulder through the window of their Rolls, which was fixed without comment. But when he threw yellow dye into the swimming pool the night before they were going to have a big charity pool party, his parents called me, which surprised the hell out of me. Why call me, I asked. They said they'd heard that I worked wonders with kids, and they offered me a black check, of course, to do my magic with their kid. I let them know that what Jamie needed most was their love and approval. It was obvious after a brief time that these concepts were outside of their realm of comprehension. It was equally obvious that the way they treated each other was also devoid of feelings. They were like plastic people. Of course, I refused their money and politely excused myself. So now what? Jamie with a gun meant one of three things. He's either going to stage the grand crime to get their attention, he would kill himself, or he'd kill them. My bet was on killing them. Crime hadn't worked. He was more hostile and angry at them than down on himself. I knew I needed to get to Jamie quickly. I also knew I couldn't confront him. I would just get denial, and he would run. Fortunately, I had a good enough relationship with him that I could just join him where he hung out, hoped he would reveal his plans. My experience told me that these last-ditch desperation moves are just that. And there's usually a hope behind the move that less drastic solutions would miraculously happen. And since I had a reputation for miraculous solutions, you'd probably make that last attempt at a non-desperate solution by talking to me. It's a good thing that my level of metabolism is so high, because part of my working on the solution to okay, now what, usually involves eating. So I headed to the deli, which was my headquarters. I had just finished ordering when in walked in Joey McDuff, alias MacReefer. MacReefer was sort of a misnomer, since his favorite drug was acid, and lots of it. I guessed McAcid didn't quite have as good a ring as MacReefer, and although he did enough marijuana to qualify for that moniker too, Joey, I refused to use his druggie name, was one of Jamie's best friends. He could be a help in reaching Jamie. His assistance wouldn't come without a large risk, though. He was usually very messed up drug-wise. On top of that, he had a terribly abusive home life. For either or both of those reasons, he was just as capable of convincing Jamie to use the gun on both sets of parents as to talk him out of it. Joey sat down across from me. I can only describe the way he talks and acts as kid imitates half-crazed, stoned-out mental patient. The sardonic grin on his face when he does this makes it very clear that this is intentional parody, and he is quite amused with it. He asked in a slow voice that is a deliberate Cheshire cat-like caricature of a crazy person. I'm not taking anyone's seat, am I? No, Joey, I was saving it for you. That's very interesting, do-gooder. How did you know that I was going to be here? You know, Jason knows all. How are you? Not high enough. Thank you. That was really good news. When he's not very high, I can usually penetrate this kid sarcastically playing with the whole world while stoned on acid facade. That seems to be the only way he can cope. When he's really high, that's when he's unpredictable. Somewhat mimicking him, I sarcastically replied, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sure you are. How's Rover? He insists on calling my dog Rover Rovy. He's fine. What's going on? Oh, I thought you knew everything. I do, but I just thought it would be interesting to hear your slant on it. Funny man. Don't you know that the whole world hates a wise-ass do-gooder? He grinned broadly because he stole my line about wise-ass street kids. Smiling, I said, got me. He continued to grin and settled back in the chair. So ended our little greeting ritual. I liked being with Joey, but at the same time it was frustrating. At a superficial level, he was fun to be around. His sarcasm and intentional weirdness was entertaining. It was also very challenging intellectually to choose the right strategy to penetrate this shield. At the same time, I knew it was all a cover for a very troubled kid who was in so much emotional pain that the only way he could deal with living was to totally deny pain by living a fictitious world of a stoned-out, tripped-out juvenile. Using an advanced therapeutic technique that said, if you don't know what to say next, just shut up and eat your sandwich, I did just that. About half a sandwich later, Joey started to speak. There's going to be a lot of fun around here soon. Fun? Yeah. One of your little friends has a new toy. He continued. Oh, I went on eating my sandwich without responding. He continued. I've never been to a funeral before. Oh, you're going to go to a funeral? Probably, unless you manage to meddle as usual and fuck things up. So he knew, and he wanted me to stop Jamie. What the fuck are you talking about? What little friend? And what toy? Can you keep a secret? Sure. So can I. He said, with another grin that said, touche, he stole another one of my lines. Nice line, I wonder where you got it from. I said, smiling. How am I to meddle and fuck up the show if I don't have a clue what you're talking about? As he got up, still grinning, he said, oh, let's just say it might be a good idea for you to sit on the wall tonight. And with that, he sauntered out the door. A bit of explanation. The wall was a wall where all the kids hung out and where I hung out. And that's it.
Then you also have copies of the book here tonight,
Yes.
right? It's the Street Shrink Chronicles, which is like an elocution lesson for me. Street Shrink.